Well, in this video here, we are going to talk about three breakout candidates this year. And who do you think we're going to talk about? We're just going to have to find out. And welcome back to another video here on the Washington Football Maniacs channel. I am your host here, Greg Sykes, along with my co-host, Brandon Scott. And this channel, of course, is dedicated to news and commentary for the Washington Commanders. If you're down with that, please make sure you have subscribed to this channel. And when you do, also make sure you hit that notification bell so you won't miss any other video releases. Hey, before we get into this video, I know a lot of you tend to you tend to get into a rut when it comes to financial issues. You're trying your best to make that almighty dollar stretch as long as you possibly can, make it go as far as you possibly can. And with that, sometimes you have to do some sacrificing, right? Well, our partners here at Mint Mobile, they don't want you to sacrifice. And so with that, here, check them out.
Look, if your family is anything like mine, you have probably at one point or another have had to make some major sacrifices. Maybe you've had an unexpected medical bill pop up or your car breaks down. Maybe you're just trying to have some money saved up for your child's education. Well, that is why I am so intrigued by Mint Mobile, who this video is in partnership with. They offer premium wireless starting at $15 a month. I could get high-speed data and unlimited talk and text on the nation's largest 5G network. I could even bring my phone along with my current phone number, contacts. I'm telling you, I am sacrificing absolutely nothing. Everything that you can do with your big-time cell phone service, you can do with Mint Mobile. So how hard is it to switch your service? I switched to Mint Mobile in less than 15 minutes. How did I do it? Well, it was easy. I just used my phone's eSIM card. 15 minutes later, let me tell you, you are up and running. You're making phone calls, you're using data. But Greg, my phone is a little bit older. I don't have one of them eSIM doohickeys. A doohickey. Oh, okay. Well, you don't need an eSIM doohickey. If you don't have an eSIM doohickey, Mint Mobile will send you a physical SIM card for free. That's right, for free. So if you want to save a little money on your wireless without making any sacrifices, why don't you go to my link in the description below. It is trymintmobile.com/maniacs to get started on getting premium wireless service for as low as $15 a month. And this is when you sign up for a 3-month plan. And get this, new customers, if you sign up for a Mint Mobile plan before May 31st, you will get a 6-month subscription to Paramount Plus Essential on Mint Mobile. Visit Mint Mobile today. Link will be in the description below. Now back to the podcast.
I don't know about you, Brandon, but I really like Paramount Plus right now. My family and I are binging on Victorious. We love Nickelodeon shows, and we love Victorious, and we've been watching that like crazy. We really got it because we are also into watching SWAT. And we were binging on SWAT on Netflix, and of course, Netflix didn't have the latest season of SWAT, so we had to go to Paramount to watch the latest season. So, folks, check it out. It's like I said, it's trymintmobile.com/maniacs to get started today. So, we're talking about breakout players in this upcoming season. Now, we feel like there's going to be some breakout players, obviously, because we're very optimistic. It's a brand new regime all around. We've got a brand new quarterback who we feel like he in himself is going to be a breakout, right? Jaden Daniels, already we're talking about how outstanding he's been in OTAs, contrasting to what we've heard out of Caleb Williams, who, I don't know how much of this has actually been true, but how that he has not been good with 7-on-7. But this is not about Caleb Williams. This is about the Washington Commanders. And so, Brandon, there are three guys that you're looking at that you think are going to have breakout seasons this year. Who are these guys going to be and why?
Ooh, good question. I'm going to start with Scary Terry, our wide receiver number one. I think that this is finally going to be the year where he hits 1,500 yards receiving because I think, nothing against the quarterbacks we've had previously. They've all had their plus and minuses, but I think we all agree that this is the first time we've had a legit franchise quarterback who one can throw on the run, could throw in the pocket, you can throw with accuracy, throw the deep ball. And Terry needs a guy, if you look at last year, when Brissett came in, you saw a noticeable difference as far as the play style with Brissett as opposed to Sam Howell, which I like Sam Howell, but you saw the difference where you saw the advantages of Brissett throwing the deep ball. And Terry McLaurin automatically was eating. So looking at Jaden Daniels, man, I think he's got a skill set. He's going to get Terry involved with the deep ball. And I think that, like I said, if you look at Terry's numbers, he's kind of hovering around that 1,000-yard, 1,100 yards receiving. I think this is finally his breakout campaign to really solidify himself as a true number one wide receiver in the NFL. Number two, we're looking at Brian Robinson, aka B Rob. I think that with Austin Eckler coming in the fold in the running back room and with Chris Rodriguez, obviously Eckler's going to take a lot of the brunt of the pressure in the passing game away from Brian Robinson. And I think this finally the time where Brian Robinson's gonna be able to eat, be that ground pounder. He's definitely going to go and get a lot of rushing yards because I get it, air raid offense, but if you look at Arizona, they had a running backs who were 1,000-yard backs. So I don't think that the air raid is really going to mess as far as B Rob's production as a running back. I think this finally can be his 1,000-yard plus campaign. So I'm looking at Brian Robinson being that second breakout candidate. Number three, Jamin Davis, former first round pick for the Washington, I believe at the time, Washington football team, right? I think that with him coming off the edge, him attacking the quarterback more, I think he can finally break out and show his value at the first round. Obviously, I think that with the previous regime, he was playing, I'm not going to say playing out of position, but I don't think they played him to his strengths. And I think that with Joe Witt playing him off the edge, with him attacking the quarterback more, I think not only is he going to break out, I think this defense is going to be a lot better this year because he's going to add more capability to attacking the quarterback and put a lot more pressure on the opponent or the opposing offensive. So,
And it's something that you mentioned, Jamie Davis, because some others have already been talking about could he be our Micah Parsons, because that you're moving him into an area where you're using him to his strength, right? Because it seems like he's really not so great in coverage. Coverage, that's his weakness. But if you're moving him more into an edge rusher type of situation, that's his strength. You saw where he could really, rush the passer. He can get into the backfield quite a bit and cause some ruckus. So that might be where he really excels. And I mean, we saw it in the last couple of years where you know, Jamin Davis, he had the speed to be able to get to the get to the backfield, stop the running game, get to the quarterback, things like that. But as I said before, when he drops back into coverage, that is where he is kind of in no man's land. He just really struggled with that. Um, and of course, Scary Terry. It's kind of hard to imagine a breakout year because we kind of feel like he's our number one wide receiver, but barely made his 1,000 yards last year. In fact, we had to really work to get him over that 1,000 yards in that last game last year, just so he can have 4 years. Was it 4 years in a row with 1,000 yards receiving? But to be able to get to 1,500 yards receiving, I think that he can easily get it this year. And a lot of people are starting to look at him as being an afterthought. Even though that, well, I think people respect him, but at the same time, I don't think they do. I think they respect him as a pretty decent, a pretty good receiver, but I don't think they respect him as a pure number one receiver. And so I think this year they're going to see that he is a true number one receiver. He's a he's a threat And so I can definitely see him breaking out and being a 1,500-yard receiver. B Rob, now, you mentioned air raid. I've heard a lot of talk from a lot of Commanders players right now. They don't really, it's funny, they don't really necessarily put a label on the offense, right? Like a lot of people are saying Cliff Kingsbury's offense is an air raid offense, but the more that they all kind of talk about the offense, they're not really labeling it an air raid. I think what you're going to see is I think you're going to see a base air raid offense, but I think it's going to be so much of a variation of it that it's not going to be like a true air raid offense. I think you're going to see a more emphasis on a running game. I think you're going to see the protections up front that's going to resemble more of an air raid offense. You're probably going to see the protection where you're going to see more of like a yard in between each of the defenders, maybe. So they're going to be spread out a little bit more, maybe like you would see in a true air raid offense. But I think you're going to see a lot of running, and so I agree with you. I think that you're going to see B Rob really break out this year because honestly, you probably would have seen him really break out last year if you would have seen him get the ball more like he should have gotten last year. And because he didn't get the ball last year, he really couldn't have that breakout season. But when he did get his hands on the football, he made good things happen. So I agree with you. I think those are three good choices. I mean, if I had to add anybody, the only one I can really say right off the bat, maybe Jahan Dotson, because I think he has the potential to be a 1B type of receiver to Terry McLaurin. I think he's, certainly Sam Howell favored Jahan Dotson quite a bit last year, and then after a while, Jahan just kind of went away for a little bit, right? So, but I think that he has potential to really have a breakout as well. So it kind of remains to be seen. On the defensive side of the football, it gets a little bit harder to look at. Past, who you thought about, Jamie Davis. I don't really know, like in the secondary. We were really joking about this, of course, before the video. We were talking about the picture that we saw with Emmanuel Forbes. Um, the pretzel sticks, and no offense to Forbes, but he's so small. It's like I would love to see him have a breakout season, and it remains to be seen. But get this, in all fairness, let's go back and um, let's look at the size of Daryl Green, for instance. All right, so Daryl Green, I think he was 5'9", and I believe he was maybe 180 pounds. I think. Now, for for those of you, and I haven't released it yet, and I'm actually going to release a bunch of videos all at once. So, YouTube algorithm, please don't kill my channel on this. But I'm actually going to release a huge playlist all at once of everything 1980s Washington Redskins. And one of the videos is going to be about Darrell Green. All right, so as I was, kind of going over Darrell Green, I was talking about some of the sizes. Darrell Green, not a very big guy, right? 5'9", so just a little bit taller than me, not much. Basically about the same height. Um, and I would say about my, same weight, but maybe, a year ago. But not right now. But, not a very big guy. So I don't know what Emmanuel Forbes' weight is right now. So we really do kind of joke about Emmanuel Forbes' weight, but it may just be, certain guys just tend to carry weight, like they just tend to look smaller. Whereas, let me give you a good example. Me and one of my best friends, right? Um, Now he's a little bit taller than me, but not like you know like several inches taller than me. But like him at, let's say, 160 pounds at one time, looked like 20 pounds lighter than me at 160 pounds. So I'm just saying that as an example to say that not everybody carries the same amount of weight the same way, right? So it may be that Emmanuel Forbes has the weight he and all of that. It just doesn't look the same on him as what it may be on somebody else. So you have to give him kind of the benefit of the doubt with that. But still, yeah, it's. Um, do we think that he's going to have a breakout year? It's really hard to see that with anybody in the secondary right now, but we'll see. Um, if anybody I had to guess, that's maybe special team slash who can get into the secondary every now and then. Maybe someone that we would consider a comeback player of the year after an injury, Jeremy Reeves, maybe. Um, Maybe he can have a comeback player of the year slash more of a breakout. We know he was a Pro Bowler not too long ago. So, other than that, Brandon, I don't really know. Outside of Jahan Dotson, who I feel like has a good amount of potential, you're really seeing a pretty new roster. There's been a lot of roster turnover from a year ago, so there's not really a lot of people that you can say, okay, from a year ago, I think this person's going to have a breakout season because there's really not a whole lot to choose from.
Yeah, I mean, getting back to Emmanuel Forbes, I think that I don't think this is a year he breaks out. I think there's a lot of work that needs to be done. But I'll say this: if he does break out, it's going to be the year after this year. But I think two big things I want to see done with the development of Emmanuel Forbes. Number one, weight room. Get the strength coach in there with him. Definitely, he needs to gain some muscle. Now, not a lot, because you don't want to really mess with that speed because he's a ball hawk. He's definitely a guy who likes to look to get that turnover. But he definitely needs to gain some muscle, in my opinion. But he needs to work with Darryl Green. I think that Darryl Green needs to work with him. And I'm gonna read some real quick on what some comments that Darryl Green made on Emmanuel Forbes. And he says he believes he can help Forbes. "Quote unquote, I've had conversations about him, not with him. Truthfully, I could help him in 10 minutes, 20 minutes. I'm going to cross the line. I don't normally cross. He's not getting the help he should get." And he's talking about the previous regime, that is. That's all I'm going to say about that. Richie Pettibon didn't help me learn how to play, and everybody don't get that help. And I think, humbly, he needs some help because I was concerned with how he approached the position of cornerback. So, I kind of echoed that. I think that Darryl Green would be the source because, like you said, the size, he's a smaller guy who, was more of a speed guy but Darryl Green wasn't scared to get in there and get a tackle either. So I think the mentality wise, Darryl Green knows how to approach the position of cornerback. He knows how to be a professional. He knows he did it at an all pro Hall of Fame level, in my opinion. So if anybody talks to him, Darryl Green needs to talk to him. I think I guarantee he could probably fix him in 30 minutes because that's how much, he knows about the position of cornerback. Darryl Green, to me, is one of the best corners ever played the game. And that's me. And obviously, I'm biased because I'm a Redskins / football team Commanders fan. But Darryl Green has shown, like you said, how you can utilize a small frame and still be a successful cornerback in the NFL. So, Marion Forbes, yeah, I get it. The stuff on Twitter and people get on him about his weight, but I think that I'm still holding out hope for him. I think that get into the weight room a little bit, work with Darryl Green. Get into watch tape. We'll definitely go in there and watch tape. Learn your opponent, and I think you'll be all right. This coaching staff is not the previous regime. Obviously you can always go back to us, Smith, Sloan, Christian Gonzalez, but that ship has sailed. All right, we ain't got Christian Gonzalez. We got Emmanuel Forbes. And you can look at every draft and go back and say, well, we were in position to get this guy. That's just how the draft is, man. The draft is just not set in stone. There's risers, just guys who fall. Is a process. So get back to Emmanuel Forbes. I'm gonna hold out hope. I think that this year is going to show truly where he's at. If he puts the work in, it's going to show. If he doesn't, he very well could be out of DC after this season. So I think this is a very important year for Emmanuel Forbes in his development. He's got to put the work in, and on the flip side of the coin, the coaching staff has to put him in the best position to succeed. The cornerback position was a hard position to DC underneath Ron Rivera because if you look at William Jackson III, man, he was a free agent acquisition, and he was played out of position. He was a zone guy where they were trying to play him man on man, or I don't know if it was flip flop, but they didn't play to his strengths. So I think the coach staff definitely, get the brain trust together and put him in the best position to succeed. Even if he sits a year and develops, because right now it's looking at what Mike Davis and St. Juice is number one and number two. So that's all good. As long as he's put in the work, I'm not upset. As long as I see some kind of progression from him, he can play here beyond next year. But he's got to put the work in. So that's kind of where I'm at, Greg.
Yeah, just a couple of things just to add to that. With Daryl Green, going back to him, we have actually seen him out there helping a couple of our draftees. 64-year-old Daryl Green out there helping some of these guys, and he still has some of the moves, some of the cuts, and things like that. So, yeah, I mean, he could easily be out there helping Forbes. Maybe he's already helped them. Who knows? Yeah, and the other thing that we have noticed in the last few years with our secondary, you mentioned. William Jackson III, how he was out of position. That seems to be the case with our secondary quite a bit in the last few years. You notice how that a lot of times they were always out of position, always out of position. But and some of these guys who were on other teams in the past were not. Like, Fuller, for instance, he played pretty well in Kansas City. So how is it that he comes to Washington and then all of a sudden he doesn't know how to play the position? That goes to show you it is a lot of it is the scheme, I think. Um, I don't know if it's terminology or what, or it's just things are done in such a manner with the coaching to where they don't have these players play into their strengths, but more like they're trying to get these players to play within their own scheme, and they're not doing anything to kind of, you know, um, compromise and change things around to really make things work. And I think that was the downfall of the last defensive regime. And at the same time, I mean, Jack Del Rio, I mean, it's not like he just forgot how to coach either. So it's like, what in the world is going on with that? So I think that's going to be the difference with this regime. Certainly, we've already seen proof. Dan Quinn and company, they're going to know how to get these guys in position. They know what their strengths are going to be. They're going to be able to put them in positions where they're going to be able to hopefully win and play at their best. So I'm at least looking to see what Emmanuel Forbes can do in a position where he can, you know, play at his best. And Benjamin St. Juice, Mike Davis, and guys like this, just see what they can do at their best to really get like a good idea. Because I think honestly, the last couple of years or so, we really haven't been able to get a good idea of what these guys can do because they have been trying to work within a quite frankly, a defense that was just so what can you say? Just so what's the word? Boxy? I don't know. Just a defense that was not willing to compromise, not
Yeah.
willing to work to the strength of the player. You either know it or you don't. And I think I understand from the both points of view. Like you got to be smart enough to be able to understand the scheme, but at the same time, if the scheme is just too intricate, too detailed for certain things, it's not going to work. So there's a fine line, and you got to know how really to be able to work that. So yeah, I think overall we're going to see much better play from that. But again, I don't know if we're going to necessarily see breakout seasons from any of these guys in secondary. I just think you're going to see overall better play from the secondary, and I will expect that because otherwise, we're going to be in trouble. you know, we're going to be in trouble. So anyway, folks, those are our guys that we think are going to have breakout seasons this coming year. So you're going to let us know. You're going to do something for us. You're going to let us know in the comments section below, who do you think are going to have breakout seasons this year? Now, rookies, we don't count those because, usually rookies don't have breakout seasons. They might have, great rookie seasons. We're just talking about guys who just seem to click in their second years or third years or whatever. Um, I don't know. I guess maybe a rookie can have a breakout season. Who knows? Anyway, you just tell us who you think are going to have breakout seasons, a season in 2024, and let us know why. And Brandon, you got anything else for us today, bud?
No, sir. Like Greg said, definitely comment below. Let us know what you guys think. If you guys have any other candidates to break out, definitely let us know, man. But no, I'm good to go, man.
All right, all right. Well, folks, I hope you enjoyed this video today. If you did, please give us a like, share the video with others, get the word out about the Washington Football Maniacs. And with that said, we will see you in the next one. Take care.